What's up, Plaidman here? You have to excuse the sunlight. I'm still trying to figure out, wait, how do I shoot during the day? Because usually, especially with the shift change or the shift change in the sun, I'm shooting at night because I get home and yada yada. And today, I don't have work, which is kind of a blessing in a weird way, but also sucks. Means I got to do stuff at home, which is totally fine. I am doing stuff. Honey, I am gonna do stuff. Anyways, all right. So for today's review, by the way, I'm aware that I should probably have like cool things. Like I watch other people who have these cool, they got snapshots and this and that and yada, yada, yada. I don't have those things, so you're just gonna have to deal with my pretty face, my whatever background, and me just giving my 2 cents. So this is about Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. So 11, I don't know how you would do that. 10, 11, and then 12, 13, whatever. Anyways, because they're on Netflix until like for one more week. And I saw them and I've seen them before, but I try to do these reviews like right after I saw the movie, as opposed to like, yeah, I've seen it. And then like, I remember it, of course, it was 5 years ago, but I totally remember it. And it's just like, wow. Anyhow, so I saw all 3 of them, and I can't help but enjoy them. Like, I'm a fan of heist films in general. I'm also a fan of gangster films, of films that like feature criminals, but not like I haven't seen the Dahmer show. Like, that's a type of criminal I'm like, I don't know if I want to see a show about this. This is kind of nasty. I did see all the Breaking Bad. I was 2 weeks, the show, which if you haven't seen it, I suggest it. It's not the best thing since sliced bread, but it's pretty darn interesting and good. We're not reviewing that right now. We're talking about Ocean's 11. Gosh dang it, David. So for those of you that don't know, it's a movie. Ocean, Frank Ocean, is played by George Clooney, and he's got a crew that he gets together after he gets out of jail. And he proceeds to get a crew of effectively 10 people, plus him is 11, to do a heist on a casino in Vegas. That's the first one. And it goes, and there's lots of twists and turns and yada, yada, yada. So it's actually really interesting. The second one I thought was fascinating because it was just like, oh, hey, good job, but also you got caught. And so it's kind of like a matter of them trying to, they did a really good job basically, because it wasn't, oh, the first one worked so well, we're just gonna rinse repeat. The second one was like, so a couple years later, yada yada, everyone's taking their money and gone separate ways, and then stuff happens and they're like, oh shoot, we have to do a heist to pay back the person who we stole the money from. And that's just an interesting concept. And it's funny because I don't really remember it so well. Like when I was thinking about it, I was like, I remember the first one, very clear cut, and I definitely remember the third one, but the second one kind of like slipped by me. And it was interesting. So the first one had Julia Roberts, by the way, and Julia Roberts is terrific. I feel like they were being a bit tongue-in-cheek on like, hey, you look like Julia Roberts. So it's weird how meta it is, in a sense of like, oh, but like Julia Roberts kind of looks like Julia Roberts. And I'm like, by that logic, Brad Pitt looks like Brad Pitt, George Clooney looks like George Clooney, Don Cheadle looks like Don Cheadle. Like, wait, how are you only stopping at this? But whatever, it's fine. There's some other like little fun references about how like Brad Pitt after the first heist is running where they made he's running a hotel in LA and just like not doing well. He's losing money hand over fist over. And not that that's a big deal, but to me, I felt it was interesting little subplot. Like there's interesting little side subplots. So the first one, you know, steal from this big casino guy, and really George Clooney's trying to get his girl back. Julia Roberts from the guy who owns the casino. The second one is, interestingly enough, they're trying to steal this thing to make money so that they can pay back from the first heist. And you have Catherine Zeta-Jones in like peak Catherine Zeta-Jones-esque scenario. Like, she is, I would say, at arguably her most hottest. I don't recall if it was before or after Zorro, but it was like right around that time. So she's just gorgeous. And she's Brad Pitt's love interest, and she's head of Interpol's like thief defect finder group, whatever. And it's interesting. Like, you don't take any of these movies seriously. They're just for fun. Like, if you're going into this like, I'm expecting a serious heist film, and it's like, no, it's not. Like, and it's rather hilarious because there's this beautiful moment, especially in the second one, and I'll get to the third, but in the second one where it's just like, oh, they're trying to steal this thing, but somebody literally stole it before them like a couple hours ago. And you're like, what? How did that happen? And you can't help but wonder, like, why do they need 11 guys? Like, why? And there's all this like sub thing, like, oh, we could pull a Arnold Palmer or whatever. Arnold Palmer's a drink, but we could pull a blank. We could do it this. We could do it that. Oh, we need more people. We could do it this. So it's like, clearly there's this whole world that they hint at, but they don't really talk about, which I greatly admire. I think is really terrific and interesting. It kind of alludes to a lot of other stuff. It's what make, in my opinion, John Wick so good. It's because John Wick, it isn't just about the action, it's about the world building. And with Ocean's 11, there is this world building, like honor among thieves, I would say, is the tagline for the whole show. All three movies is honor amongst thieves. Okay, and so the last one is, in my opinion, a perfect send-off ending of these guys. Because effectively, one of their crew, who had been in the other two movies, he's a big money guy, and he got in with this other guy, and they were going to build this like epic casino together. And, you know, just awesome. But, and the bad guy, the villain, is played by Al Pacino. And he does a terrific job of being a grade A douche. And what's fascinating is like, okay, so he totally screwed over one of Ocean's partners. This is the third one. Like, totally screwed him over. And the shock was so severe. He's an older guy. He got a heart attack, went to the hospital, and now he's like semi-conscious in bed. And for principals, okay, for principals, they're like, we need to stick it to this guy, because it isn't that he's being shady and criminal, like that's one thing, but it's that he did it for them. And so they all kind of like you would do with friends. Like, friends are like, no, this is not cool, and they're gonna step up and handle it, right? And I can greatly admire that, and the amount of effort they go through, and how cool, calm, and collected they are, and how things happen, and they just kind of like, they just roll with the punches. And it's very fascinating to watch. And I have to say, there's so for those of you who don't know, George Clooney and Brad Pitt are really the leads of these movies, and their dialogue is so like simple, and I don't know, it's almost too simple. Like, they effectively wrote as little dialogue as possible and just let their charisma and the fact that they're movie stars ride it out. And it works. I don't think it could work for everyone, but it works with these two people kind of like being caricatures of themselves and whatever. And I don't know, it's fascinating. And like, to me, every moment, even though I had seen these films before, I am just like curious. And then Matt Damon playing like kind of a putz, which is hilarious because he's like, oh, he's not talented Mr. Ripley in this. He's kind of like, he's a tryhard, really. And and it's just really good. Like, I would say so the first one was a standalone terrific film. The second one was a terrific sequel. And the third one was taking the first one and dialing it up to 12. and it worked. It just worked. And I think Al Pacino being in it helped make it work, and it was just like a really nice package. Now, for the record, I'm not going to see, what is it, Ocean's 8 or whatever, the Sandra Bullock one. I'm not going to see that. I don't really care to watch that. I feel like it, based on what I've seen of the trailers and the reviews, I'm not interested in seeing it. I don't like what Hollywood's doing, where they're like, hey, we're just going to recreate it, but with women, and people are going to watch it. It's like, no, that's not what made it good. It was... anyhow, so that was kind of what I just want to say. If you have time, watch those movies again. They're very enjoyable. I think that as a woman or a man, you can enjoy them because it's kind of going back in time to a point where movie stars were movie stars. And you had, at the time, Clooney, Damon, and Brad Pitt were all, like, huge and are huge. And Don Cheadle now is well known. And you have some other actors that you might recognize in there, and you're just like, how did they afford all these people on a budget of less than $200 bajillion? And the thing is I feel like everyone was having fun and kind of having a laugh. So I think you get into that and you're like, oh yeah, I can enjoy this. This is just fun. Yeah, basically. So watch the damn movie because it's amazing. It's so much fun. I'm trying to think of what else is worth mentioning. Another thing I thought was interesting is how like PG-13 it is. Like they could have easily gone, because it's in Vegas, most of it, could have gone the R-rated route or dropped a bunch of curse bombs or had a lot of flashy like TNA or stuff like that. They didn't do any of that. It's very much all about class, and I appreciate that. Just a solid, enjoyable movie. Now, is it something that's going to go down in the record books of one of the most amazing stories ever told? No, it is not. It's not something that's going to make you in the feels. It's something you can... But one thing is I tried like not watching it, but like having it in the background, and I couldn't do it. I was so curious about what they're going to do. How are they going to get out of this? Yada, yada, yada. And one thing that I would say is that time and time again, like there's these 11 and then 12 and then 13 people involved. What I thought was interesting was there's a reason why they're all involved, and they don't leave each other out to hang out and dry. And even there's a persistent character throughout who had like an itty bitty role in the first one and a tiny role in the second one, and then he was just kind of like literally one scene in the third one. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that there is honor amongst these people. They're like, hey, we like this guy in our crew, even though he can't really help us with 99% of the stuff. But you know what? We're doing this thing. Let's let him in on it. And like little things like that you're just like, oh, these are good people. And it's so weird to say like, oh, thieves are good people, because I generally don't think so. But it kind of like you understand and you're rooting for the bad guys. Like this, to me, is a story about how to be a classy anti-hero. And frankly, that's great. Like, now that I think about it, anti-hero, I want to do Punisher, rewatch that because it's amazing. But like, as opposed to the Punisher, like, nah, this is just classy people doing classy stuff, and you empathize with why they're doing what they're doing. Anyways, I'm being blinded because of the sun and the things. So that's it for now. Plyman out. Talk to you later. Bye.